Hey, Nicole. Hey, listeners. Dr. Patti Giuliano here. Yesterday, Nicole and I were talking about, what topics we would talk about today, and we kind of loosely have an outline. Yet, I thought it was really important to talk about what happens when you graduate, because we just had a graduation here at Life West. What happens when you leave the comfort and the connection that you've created here at Life West and go out into the world? And now it's like, oh my God, I'm a doctor of chiropractic. What do I do next? And the schools that I don't know that they all prepare you exactly, but there are people out there who can help you. And Nicole is one of them. And I said, Nicole, you help people start practices. Why? Let's talk about that. Let's give these new docs, some pointers. And certainly, I started my practice 95 years ago. Not really, 42 years ago, 43 maybe now. And some things have changed and some things haven't. So, Nicole, I want you to start because I know that you've been helping so many docs to, get their wheels going and just get them onto the runway so they can go take off. So, give us some of your pearls about what do you do? I walked across the stage and holy shit. What do I do? You take it, honey.
Awesome. Thanks, Dr. Patty. Hey, everybody. Good to see you guys again on our podcast. And I love talking about opening practices. So when Patty had suggested that last night in the middle of the night, I was like thrilled. I was like, yeah, I could talk about opening practices all day long. Sometimes I refrain from, you know, like mentioning let's do this because I could talk about it so much. I don't want to bore people with it, right? So I kind of refrain from mentioning it. But it is an important topic, and one of the things that you had said, Patty, when you were opening up our podcast today is that, and I remember these days as clear as yesterday. I graduated in 2000, so that was 26 years ago. And I remember like not being able to sleep. I remember like, what the heck am I going to do after graduation? Will I be a success? I know nothing about opening a practice. And I remember the fear and the stress and the anxiety of graduation because you're right. Chiropractic school, it's like a little cocoon. It's safe, right? You're safe in chiropractic school. So, and then the other point that you made is when people go to chiropractic school, and I'm going to say something that might not be a popular opinion, because a lot of times people will put down, our schools for not teaching business, or not teaching, a lot of practice business. And they're starting to teach some now, but um, you know, I think here is the unpopular opinion. I don't, I don't, I don't, um, I don't fault chiropractic colleges for not doing business. And the reason is because you guys are doing exactly what you guys are doing. And that is you're taking a human being and you're transforming them into a doctor. And that's your job. And that's exactly what you're doing. And Life in Life West does an amazing job doing that. If I was going to school again,
And
or if
Sherman.
I was,
And
what?
and Sherman.
And Sherman, yes, I don't want to. But if I was going back to school, if my kids were going back to school, it would be Life for Sherman, hands down. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but I'm saying it. So I
You have
don't
a
fault
reason.
this.
You have a reason for saying it, and we can talk about that later.
Yeah, that's a whole nother podcast, right? We could talk
Yeah.
about like where our education is going. But so I don't fault the schools for not throwing in a lot of business, because you guys are doing a job, you guys are doing a great job. And quite honestly, Patti, with the amount of stuff that people need to know in order to run a business, you would they would be in school a whole nother like 2 or 3 years to learn that, because owning a bit being a business owner is a completely separate job. It's a completely separate entity. It's a completely different hat than being a doctor.
Whole different skill set.
There's a whole different skill set, and that's why there are professionals like myself and Tony Robbins and all sorts of professionals and resources out there to teach you, to teach chiropractors, to teach medical doctors, to teach physical. We're all in the same boat because they don't learn any business stuff either.
Right.
But to teach us how to properly run a business. And that's what I do with Thrive. I've been coaching chiropractors for like probably almost 20 years as a mentor coach with other coaches. And then I accidentally stumbled onto helping a new grad open his practice. And he opened his practice. I guess it was the experience that I had. He was very coachable. The kid literally did everything that I told him to do. And after 12 months of being open, he revenued a $500,000 in his first 12 months of practice.
Wow. Okay,
And
give us a couple of a couple of pointers.
oh my gosh. Well, direct
That
me. Where do you want me to start?
well, you said you coached him,
Yeah.
and so I know you can't compartmentalize all of what you coached him about, but give us like three things that you told him to do, like right off the gate,
Right for
out
okay.
of the gate.
All right. So the first thing that I work on with everybody that I coach is getting clarity. Getting clarity on who they are right now, getting clarity on what their core values are right now, and getting clarity on what their goals are right now. Okay. And then once people can get clarity and kind of almost like step out of their body and see themselves from a bird's eye view, then we ask them, well, who do you want to become? What do you want to create? And what are your next level goals? And we get clarity on that. And I do a video. One of the teachings that I do in my course. I have 3 courses, Patti. And the first course is called the Jumpstart Academy for a reason. It's because we're jumpstarting your practice. Like the whole course is about launching a practice. And one of the videos that I do is all about how your practice is a direct reflection of you. And so I would probably say the biggest, and I hate to use the word mistake, but the something that trips people up is when they're coming out of school. And this is easier said than done, by the way, people. Like I work with people on this all the time. But when people are first coming out of school, they're riddled with a lot of student debt. Some of them want to get married and have families, so now that's an additional pressure, financial pressure. Then they have to get capital to open their practice. They have to pay rent for their practice. They have to pay a team. And they have to keep food on their table and a roof over their head. And for most of us, that's a lot of pressure. And in today's day and age, the pressure seems to be different. It doesn't seem to be much different whether you're a male or a female entrepreneur. The pressure is really the same, because I feel like females in today's day and age we have just as much financial pressure on us as our male counterparts or our partners, right? And so, because we carry a lot of that responsibility in today's day and age. So the first thing that I work with people is helping them to control their emotions and their physiological energy. Because
Wow.
where they get stopped up is because they have these financial pressures. It's natural, it's human, right? We want to meet our need for certainty and security. So it's natural that they organically and naturally show up in a state of sometimes fear, sometimes lack, sometimes uncertainty, sometimes scarcity. And we have to get them out of that state. We have to teach them the skills that they need in order to get them out of that state and get them into a state of peace, of love, and of contribution to community.
And
Because there's
compassion.
and
And compassion
compassion.
for themselves.
Yeah, compassion for others, compassion for themselves, empathy, right? So I have to teach them. One of the first things that I do is I teach them how to be in command of their physiological state so that they're not showing up at a screening in scarcity, or they're not showing up at a talk in scarcity, because scarcity repels and contribution attracts. So that's number
Wait,
one.
wait, let me write that. Scarcity
Repels,
repels
and the state of
and
contribution attracts.
wow. That's that's a pearl. That's a pearl. So simple yet,
Yeah, powerful.
yeah, really powerful. Wow.
Mm.
Just makes
Yeah,
me think of, my success in practice, because everything you talk about, I worked on, when I got out of practice, and I was into saving the world, contributing, and that's
right.
all. And then I met Peter, and he had the same mindset. So you put two of us together, and it creates a lot of power and a lot of attraction, and
Yeah.
that's how we did it. I mean that.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's how we did emotionally. I will say,
Yeah.
besides all the hours and hours and hours of all the marketing and everything else we did to. So I'm curious what you tell people to do to start their practice. Like what kind of marketing skills? I heard you say something about going to um, do a screening or whatever. So what do you
Yeah.
suggest for people?
Well, I guess branding and marketing would be my number two thing. You asked me for three things, so that would be my
Okay,
number two thing. Um, it's funny how you and I are always on the same page. I think that's so
I
weird and
know.
that's so cool. Um,
Jersey,
so
Jersey girls.
it's so crazy how we like our brains are like almost like one. It's strange. Um, so branding and marketing is a big thing, because right now I do believe, um and I could be optimistic, overly optimistic about this, but I do truly believe that there is going to be a day, and I hope it's in my lifetime, because this is my purpose, that a chiropractor can leave school, open up, enter a space to practice in, hang a shingle, and people know exactly who they are and what they do as a chiropractor. Okay. We're not there yet. We're just not there in history yet.
Yeah.
Right. So if we're not there in history yet, but we will be before I die. We will be there, where students can leave chiropractic school, open up a space, hang a shingle, and people know exactly what you do as a chiropractor. I promise. That's my mission. That's my purpose in life right now. So until we get to that point, marketing and branding is absolutely essential. And the way that I've simplified it for the clients that I teach is, there, in my mind, there are two types of marketing that you can do. There is either the marketing that you can throw money at, right? That you can pay for with actual money, right? And money is an energy. It's an exchange of energy is really what it is. Um,
Amen.
or there's marketing that you don't put so much money toward, but you put your time and your energy toward. Okay. Now, for most people coming out of school, you're most likely going to fall into that second category for
Right.
now, until you have some growth in practice and your revenue goes up to be able to afford to do the type of marketing that requires money.
Right.
So the type of marketing that requires money would be like your digital marketing. Like, you have to be in order for digital marketing to be successful, you have to be prepared, depending on the area or the region that you live in. you have to be prepared to spend anywhere between like $3,500 to even up to $8,500 a month in order for digital marketing to be successful. Those are things like your Facebook ads, your Facebook funnels, your Instagram ads, your Google ads, things like that. So I have a friend who does marketing for chiropractors, and in his area in his area in California, because they can run all these analytics through Google, they have a chiropractor that is spending $8,000 a month on Google ad spend. $8,000 a month. So that's a lot of money for somebody that's opening a practice. And unless you know have that money, that's not really going to be like a great option for you to build the foundation of your practice.
Yeah,
So
I know. What's your ROI on that? I guess it depends,
you know, it
right?
really depends. I mean, if this guy's doing it, I don't know the doctor that's doing it. This was a friend of mine. Actually, it's a friend of yours too. I'm not going to say who it is because I don't have permission to share. You should share, but he does some Google marketing for my own practice. And what he was telling me is that in order for Google ads in order for you to have an ROI on your Google ads, you have to be spending more than the local chiropractor in your area on the Google ad spend, or else you're
Wow.
just not ranking high enough
Right.
in Google for it to even matter.
Right.
So he and I had that conversation probably about a month ago. And so my guess, Patty, is that if the chiropractor is spending 8,000 a month, I'm sure he's having a good ROI on it, or else he wouldn't be doing it. But for somebody coming out of school, like where are they getting that capital? And not only that, like here's the second part to getting people in the door. Once you get people in the door, and this is going to be my third step because you asked me for three, you have to have successful systems in place that are going to actually convert the new patient into like a paying patient,
Yeah.
right? So that's going to be, you know, step number three. But I want to stay on step number two, marketing, because this is so important. So the type of marketing that you do that requires more time and energy and not as much money would be what we did when we opened our practices. You know, that's like I call it the grassroots. That's getting out in your community and doing spinal screenings. That's getting out into groups, clubs, organizations, churches, support groups, anywhere that people gather, anywhere that your avatar, your ideal client, you know, spends time, and getting in front of them and doing health talks, 30-minute health talks, dinner with the docs, lunch and learns, corporate events or corporate lunch and learns. Um, I used to do spinal screenings back then we used to actually have bookstores. I don't know if we have bookstores anywhere, but we had a bookstore in our town. And every Saturday I would go to the bookstore and I would set up a small table and I would just bring my spine. And when people would enter the bookstore, they say, well, what are you doing? Why do you have a spine? And I would say, great question. Come on over and let me tell you about how your spine and your nervous system works and how it contributes to the health of your body. And I would just talk to them about chiropractic and get them scheduled for a new patient. Like, you know, that's another thing. Like we always hear when I was a kid, I'd hear that one liner, keep it simple, stupid, right? Don't overcomplicate it. Don't overcomplicate it. Just get out into the community and share chiropractic, because believe it or not, people want what you have. And I, you know, that's so cliche because I hear it at like every chiropractic seminar that I've ever gone to, but it's so true. The only thing that's holding people back from coming to your office is that they just don't know that they want what you have yet. And so you
Yeah.
have to get on the community to tell them. And
Yeah.
then what happens is that community connection and its consistency. Okay, consistency is the key here, Patty, because what happens to a lot of people is they go out and do a spinal screening, they don't schedule anybody, they get so frustrated, they're like, I don't want to do this, I feel ridiculous, this isn't working, and they give up with one screening. Well, if I would have given up with one screening, I can't tell you, I remember this one time I did a screening. I was by myself because I didn't have a staff. It was a big event in my community. It was like an all-day event. It was like 95 degrees out here in the Jersey Shore. I hauled out this big old tent and my table and all this stuff. And I must have screened like hundreds of people. And it just was the way that things were. They had put my booth right in front of the band. Like there was an outside band playing and they put my booth right in front of the band. And long story short, after screening hundreds of people who probably didn't hear a word that I said, I scheduled 0 people. Like zero. I was like sweating. It was like 100 degrees. I packed up all my stuff at the end of the day and I was walking off the field and tears were streaming down my face. And I was like thinking, am I supposed to do this? Like, God, is this like the purpose for my life? And of course, it's the purpose of my life, But like sometimes we have bad days. Sometimes by the roll of dice, you get put in front of the band. Like you can't just stop at the one, right? Because the more that you do it, the more consistency that you have, the more that you show up in your community, what happens is then you build a little revenue. Then you take that revenue, you put the revenue back into your purpose. You use that for the digital marketing. Then you combine the grassroots marketing and the digital marketing, and what happens is you innately become the celebrity in your town. So I'll never forget the day when I went to, this was years ago, my boys were little, right? And it was like Saturday morning, and I rolled out of bed, put my hat on, and went to go get bagels for my family in my old ripped sweatpants. I probably had like formula or like spit up on my shirt, right? And some lady taps me as I'm waiting for my bagel. Some lady taps me, right, with the milk stains on my shirt. And she goes, aren't you a chiropractor? And I was like, how do you know? She's like, I see you all over the place, right? So you start to become this like local, small time celebrity or authority in your industry. And
Yeah.
that's when I realized, oh man, I better brush my teeth before I go out to get bagels next time.
Oh my goodness.
So
Wow.
that's the goal there with marketing.
Yeah.
And then you had asked me for number three, for three
Yeah.
things, and I already prefaced this by saying, you have to have clear and concise and easy patient systems. This was a lesson that I learned really quick because when I was in chiropractic school, I did hire a chiropractic coach as a student. And they taught us all about how to grow the practice, but what they didn't really teach are the patient systems at the student level. So like they kind of taught all this stuff. That's why we have three courses in our program. The first course is the Jump Start. That's all about launching the practice. And then the second course is, we call it the Chiropreneur Blueprint. And we call it that because it's a blueprint. I help people actually create their own blueprint that's unique to them on the systems that they want to create for their office. And I learned this is a big lesson. So because I had a really great coach in launching the practice, when I opened my practice, I had over 90 new patients on my schedule the day I opened my practice for like over the course of that first month of practice. And so the first day that I was open, I was literally processing new patients. And I lost just about almost everyone, not every one of them. That's an exaggeration, but I lost a lot of patients. I couldn't convert them because I knew how to bring them in because
Right.
I paid attention to my coach. I did what my coach told me to do, but I didn't have like solid and clear patient systems at that time to
Right.
be able to process these patients in a way that resulted in an ROI or resulted in a conversion. So that was a big aha moment. And that's why I created the second part of the course, which is the Chiropreneur Blueprint. And so we teach people really, just like in chiropractic, I don't necessarily teach people what to say or what to do. There are certainly scripts, but I teach my clients the principles behind the system, and then I let them create the system that is authentic and in alignment with who they are, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
like we know that some coaches teach a 1-day system, a 2-day system, a 3-day system, a 4-day system. I've done over 25 years, 26 years, I've done all of them and they all work. They're all. So So what makes the systems different? Well, it's the person who's driving the system,
Right, right.
you
The
know? So
confidence, clarity, and
mhm.
communication skills to be able to drive that, whatever that system is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so like also because of my experience in coaching practices over the last almost 20 years probably, what I found is that if you just hand somebody a script, okay, that script is going to work for the person who's in alignment with the words on the paper.
Right.
But it's not going to work if somebody doesn't feel comfortable using that language or using those words or saying the script, saying the dialogue. I don't like to use the word script. I say dialogue.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, they got
but
to own it. They have to
you got
own
to
it.
own it. You got to own it. So I teach my clients the principle behind it, like why do we say what we say, and then what their assignment is to write your own so that
Right,
they own it.
right.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so I wrote all these notes because I, I did, Nicole, you keep saying that you and I are so similar. I did all of those things
Hmm.
coming out of school, and I don't know if I learned them in school or I just learned them in life or, going to DE, going to Dynamic Essentials for those that don't know what DE stands for, Dynamic Essentials. That was started by Dr. Sid Williams, and that is what Dynamic Essentials actually empowered the group of dynamic speakers to start Life Chiropractic College, now Life University. Um,
Hmm.
but I want to talk about the biggest marketing that you said you can do is yourself, right? Going out into your community. What happens for the souls that are more introverted? There are a lot of chiropractic students I see that are like a little fearful to just reach out. Like you and I know, walk down the street with my spine in downtown Boston, you know but people won't always do that. So um I know when I talk to my associates who are not as outgoing as Peter and I,
Hmm.
they said it's a challenge. They said that if they were to start their own practice and not buy our practice, it would take them longer. So
Yeah.
I'm sure you've had some kind of shy, introverted people that have come. For me, I think the answer is you have to be so passionate about bringing chiropractic to the world that could, over compensate for your inner kind of introvertedness. But then you talked about the first thing that you do is to have them be clarify their core values and their goals. I would think that you help carry them through maybe that stage of seeing their worth, having them, become more empowered and to be able to share the knowledge and the wisdom that they have gotten in their chiropractic years, and everything that goes with that kind of education. So, I think it's brilliant. I think it's brilliant doing those three steps. And you
Yeah.
really just, I mean, that does cover it all. And I agree with you that business courses are moot. When you're in chiropractic school, you have so much other shit you got to do and learn and check the boxes off.
Yeah.
And Peter agrees with that too. And what Peter keeps saying is he wants to create a business mindset
Mhm.
in all through their chiropractic experience, a business mindset that you are coming out and going to be a business owner, to always
Mhm.
keep that in your mind as a student, and
Yeah.
and don't get lost in all the things that you have to do and check off, and to shift how you look at everything in school as they're not check off boxes. They are actually you're inputting your computer. so that you have all this stuff. And there are computers around the world that have more knowledge than what they need for maybe a particular person. Like I go to the internet, not I don't need everything that's out there, but I need
Mhm.
specific parts of it.
Right,
So it's the same with chiropractic school. I didn't need everything that got inputted in there, yet
right.
I was able to pick and choose those things that I would need in order to bring my skills and my talents and passion to people, so I could turn them on to chiropractic and how it would improve and upscale their lives. So
Right.
wow, this is great. This is great. Yeah, I took 2 pages of notes while you were
You did.
talking. Because I'll be speaking at Life West, to the student groups, and I hope you don't mind me sharing, and I will give you the credit for that too. That this is brilliant information that I think students need to start hearing, even in first quarter, second, like maybe not first quarter. They're so inundated. They're like, whoa, open up mouth, turn on fire hydrant. Yeah, if
Yeah.
they can make it through that first quarter, they'll make it through school. So what do you do for those people coming out of school who are like maybe not super extroverts? How do you
Yeah.
take, how do you take them and have
Well,
them open up?
yeah, that's a great question. Um and that's the reason why the very first thing that I do with Thrive students is we start working on them first.
Yeah,
So we start helping them to, um, to learn about themselves. A lot of people don't really know who they are, especially at that age when they're in their early 20s.
right,
And you're going through school and you're very task driven. So you know as well as I do that when you're a student, you're kind of like you have these blinders on because all you have to do, like your job is to pass school and graduate
right.
and to get your doctorate, and it's not easy. So I think that when they get out of school or when they're getting ready to graduate, I think there's a feeling, well, there was for me anyway, there was kind of a little bit of a feeling of like, all right, now that I'm a chiropractor, like, who am I really? You know? And what does that mean? And then what do I even want my life to like? What do I even want? Because when you're a kid, when you're a kid, think about your first 2 decades of your life, you're pretty much doing what everybody else is telling you to do. You're doing what your mom and dad tell you to do, you're doing what your pastors tell you to do, you're doing what teachers tell you to do, you're doing what bus driver tells you what to do. And now you graduate chiropractic school and there's nobody there anymore to tell you what to do or who you are.
Yeah,
And
good point.
so and so I try to help
Unless
my
you're married.
unless you're married and then your husband or your wife tells you what to do. That is true. You get a honey-do list every day. Poor Peter. Um, but that's why I start where I start with them is we start at the rawest level of like, who are you and who do you want to become? And that's really what's gonna shape your practice. Like the answer to that question is what's going to shape your practice because like you had said earlier is like when you get clarity on who you are and who you want to become, what you want to create, then that passion, that excitement for that creation becomes so strong it overrides your introvertedness or your fear to speak or even the fear of rejection. I think that's probably one of the biggest things that most of us are afraid of, like going out and doing a spinal screening and getting 0 patients. That's why I always share that story, is because I went out and did what was supposed to be one of the biggest spinal screenings of my career. I got 0, right? So I want people to know like that happens. Like sometimes there are going to be like good good days and sometimes you're going to have challenges.
Yeah.
And that's reality. And part of part of growing professionally and emotionally, part of growth is learning how to maintain your state through the challenges.
Amen. Yep. And Tony Robbins definitely offers a lot of insight into that. Nicole, I wrote down this word here, and it's kind of a buzzword these days, but I remember it being so important. Resilience, resilience, and that's what you're talking about. So you get zero after a day of sweat and hard work and you know, um, going the extra mile for wanting your passion for chiropractic to be, received, and
Mhm.
zero receives it. So resilience. I remember early on, people said, just keep going at it because every time you get rejected, you build up like you build up strength within yourself. So the rejections equal resilience. More rejections, the more resilience you get.
Right.
And so for our new docs or, seasoned docs who are listening, build up your resilience, and it comes with getting rejected, and
Mhm.
you have those 90 patients and you're in there with them and you're talking chiropractic and you're trying to sell them because that's what we're doing. We're selling this amazing healthcare product that
Mhm.
we think everybody with a spine who's alive should be able to have access to.
Yeah.
And um and but if we're not like really passionate about it, we're learning how to become more and more passionate. So yes,
Yeah.
there's going to be lots of rejections, but the more you have, the better you're going to get at this, and just keep practice, practice, practice. you know t-
Yep.
I tell people, I love new patients. I always loved the new patient process. Peter, not so
Mhm.
much. He loves adjusting. So we said, okay, Patty, you do the new patients. Peter, you do the adjusting. And I did both, but still, I
Yeah.
love the process. And you gotta love it. You gotta embrace it. Even you gotta push yourself beyond what your capacity is. So it sounds like you help guide people. I wouldn't say push. You guide
Mhm.
people to seeing their worth, to
Yep.
seeing their, I mean, they have so much data, but how to translate that data into a compassionate, caring, clinically excellent chiropractor who's
Yeah.
one spine at a time. Very cliche, but you're one spine at a time, one person at a time. You're changing mindsets. You're changing people's what do we say, their paradigm about what
Mhm.
health is. And
Yep.
no one, well, I shouldn't say no one else is doing it, because nowadays, yeah, no one else is doing it on that level, on a level of empowerment of people
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
they are, the answers come from inside of them. So if we're going to be teaching our patients, practice members, that the answers are inside of them, we have to live that. We
Yeah.
have to we have to know that for ourselves, and that's your number
Yeah.
one. And then your number two, just kind of comes with it, what do you do to create it? And then, you come up with ideas. I mean, or you listen to other people who have ideas. And
Yep.
that was your second part. And then your third part was the systems. And absolutely, positively, that is the only thing that allows Patty and Peter to have had a practice seeing well over 200 people in a day
Mhm.
smoothly, where people come in and
Mhm.
observe us, chiropractors to be, and chiropractors, and they go, oh, wow, you saw like 50 people this morning. We go, no, we didn't. We saw 125. And they go, no
Mhm.
way,
Yeah.
because it just flows. People are happy, excited because we have systems, and we've taught our patients what the systems are and what to expect. So you just clear up anything ahead of time so that they're not questioning or wondering. Sit here and fill out your form, not here's your form and let them go into the reception room. Sit in this chair. When you're
Mhm.
done, bring it back here. So simple, you know? Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know,
So,
Patty, when you were just talking, it made me remember something. When I was opening my practice, I always wanted to, I always knew right from the get-go I wanted to see high volume. And so when I was opening my practice, I covered for a high volume chiropractor. And the reason why I did that was because it's based on the same neurology as why professional athletes, they shoot the ball over and over and over and over again, and that neurology, that's to wire that into your physical body. And so I covered this office one day, and I remember the CA was like, Dr. Nicole, I was at the end of the day, and she was like, Dr. Nicole, how many people do you think you saw today? How many people do you think you adjusted? And I was like, I don't know, maybe like 90 or 100. I don't know. She's like, you saw 310. You gave 310 adjustments today.
oh
And
my,
I thought I only saw like a third of that.
wow. Yeah.
Yeah, because that practice had systems in place that made it easy to serve.
Right. Right.
They
Right.
didn't overcomplicate it. They kept it simple, stupid, right?
Right. Right. So for those practitioners out there, who want to have a bigger practice. Maybe you don't want to see 300 a day, but maybe you want to see 50 a day, and um, you can do it. Gosh, Nicole
Yeah.
did it out of school.
Yeah, if you want to see 50 a day, go practice, go show up in a practice seeing 100 a day.
There you go.
That'll wire that into your neurology, and then 50 a day will actually seem like nothing to you.
Right, right. It's brilliant. Wow. I think we covered it all.
I think so too, and we went way over time.
Oh, did we? Oh my gosh. I don't have a clock in front of me, so
Well, that's okay. That's not a problem, but I just think it's funny how like when you're having fun, time flies. And I just looked down at the time and I was like, "Oh my gosh, we've been doing this show for 40 minutes now."
oh wow.
So hopefully
Okay.
hopefully you guys out there watching this love this as much as Patty and I do.
Yeah. Well, you know what took up the extra time, I think, is that, you gave your three pointers and then I reviewed them again,
Yeah.
throwing in my so at least listen to the first 30 minutes if you don't want to listen to my review at the end.
Listen to all of it. It's all
No,
good.
yeah. Oh, really? Absolutely. I'm
That's
just
awesome.
kidding. Of course they want to hear it all. We have lots of good stuff to teach, and I can't wait for next our next podcast.
I know. All right, couple more weeks. We'll see you guys. We love you. You can find us both on we're both on social media. We're both on Facebook and Instagram. So if you need us or you have any questions, just track us down to social media. We're happy to contribute.
Yeah, and keep tracking me down because I don't check my social media
Oh yeah, that's right.
every day.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
send her a couple of messages. She'll get
Yeah,
back to you.
yeah. Okay,
All
so
right, guys.
I'm going to sign off from Hayward, California. And Nicole, you're signing off from where?
New Jersey. We're bookends today.
I know. What town are you in though?
I'm in Manahawkin.
Manahawkin. Okay.
So
I'll see you in August
you got it.
in person. Maybe we'll do one in person
Oh,
together.
that's right. Yes, because you're going to be here in New Jersey. Yeah, we will. We'll do that. We'll definitely do one in person.
Uh, okay.
All
Mwah.
right.